welcome to another Checiegirl Creations DIY video. So today I will be making a watercolor paper block, and I got this idea from the Frugal Crafter. I remember seeing a video of hers ages ago making a watercolor paper block. So I wanted to make my own because I'll be out of the country for a while. So I wanted to have some watercolor paper but not have to worry about it like getting the paint getting under the paper and onto another paper if it was like a kind of sketchbook setup. So with the watercolor block you have all your papers the same size, and then you have like, this is a sacrificial paper because when you hot glue the sides it'll get on top and you don't want that to get on your watercolor paper, so this paper will be removed. And there's a space, I'm not so sure if you can see it, hopefully you can, where you can stick a palette knife or craft knife in. So you stick that in and you can then go around and remove the top paper like so. And that's how you'll also remove the other papers as well. And any kind of like hot glue that's kind of going over the edges, you can just kind of like scrape off a little bit. But it's nice and easy to remove. And I'm not going to remove it completely just because I'm not going to use it just yet. Yeah, so, and I just used this paper. This was from like a book of papers and they're kind of glossy, so I've never really planned to use it that much. I can't even remember how I got it. I think it was something that somebody gave to me because they weren't going to use it anymore. So I thought this would be good for a cover because one, it's slippery, so even if it gets water on it, it should be fine. Or any paint, I can wipe it off. And yeah, it looks quite nice. And oh, and at the back on the bottom you'll have like a piece of like chipboard, and I used the backing from a previous pack of papers. This is like a Daily and Roundy like pack of like drawing papers, so I just used the backing from that. And I'm going to make, this is A5 size and this is A6. So I cut all my watercolor papers down. I got a pack of, I think it's a pack of 50 from Hobbycraft. I think it's around 190 GSM. So it's not extremely thick, but this is just for me to have some fun. And I cut that all down. So this is going to be A6. And the papers I'll use for the A6 one is this paper. It's got globes on it. I thought that would look quite nice since I'll be using it while I'm out of the country. And then I just have some scrap ribbon. It was like one of those really thick ribbons you get in that's like wraps around your pajamas, like when you get those kind of fleecy pajamas. And I wanted it to be a bit thinner, so I cut it down in half, and then I just singed the edges with a match so that it wouldn't fray. So I have, in each block I have 20 sheets. There's 20 sheets, so I still have lots of watercolor paper left. And then I have my chipboard, which will go on the bottom, and then my sacrificial paper goes on the top. And then I'm lining that up. And my cutting isn't great. I don't know why. I can never seem to cut everything exact. But it matches well enough because you don't want it to be like too much various sizes, because then the glue will get in and ruin your paper. So I'm going to use these bowl clips to hold the paper in place for when I'm gluing, and on one of these sides I will have the space for when I want to separate my papers. So I'm going to mark that space with this big one here, just because there won't be as much bowl clips on that side, sorry, not size. And I can just make the space a bit smaller. I just want this side to be well supported when I'm gluing it, so it doesn't shift on me. And you can use anything. You can use clothespins, bowl clips, anything that will keep your pack together while you're gluing. I guess you could also use like a press as well, but then don't know, that might take a bit long because then you have to undo it, then move it. And the hot glue, using the hot glue is nice because it works really well. It dries really quickly, so it's not like you're going to have to wait for it to dry overnight like if you use tacky glue or anything. But if all you have is tacky glue, you can use that as well. You'll just have to, the drying process will just be a bit longer. I'll put this more in the middle. Right, so I'm going to do this side first. And I've got quite a big hot glue gun. Before I was using my small craft one, and that would have been fine, but it was just coming out of the nozzle so slowly that I struggled a bit. So on this big one, which was my practice one, some areas are quite lumpy. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I am going to try and smoothen it out a little bit so some areas aren't as thick, so it shouldn't be too hard for me to separate. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to I'm going to have an iron and kind of go over the edges and have a greaseproof paper so it doesn't get stuck to the iron, like between the iron and the block, and hopefully that smooths it out. So I have to try that out, and if that works, I will like put it up on the screen or put it down in the description to tell you if it works or not. Or because I probably won't have all of this in real time, so I might also have a fast forwarded bit and I can tell you in that as well in a voiceover. So I have this silicone spatula, and I was using this to spread the glue so it's nice, so it's smooth. I'm hoping with this hot glue gun it'll be a bit easier. This is hot enough. I left it there heating up for a while. I'm going to put this aside so it doesn't get in the way, as well as these papers and the ribbon. And I'll show you this one first in real time. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see, and then I can fast forward for the rest of the sides. So we can go in quite small bits, and you want to hold the sides together while you're spreading it. Please be careful with this, you don't want to burn your fingers. A hot glue gun burn can be quite bad. And I just kind of hold that together while that's drying, and it dries really quickly. So that's done already, and I know you can't see it very well just because the glue's clear. And whenever you go like to add some more, kind of go over the edge of the glue where it first was, so that it's sealed completely. And if there's some areas where it didn't seal very well, you can go back in and just like patch those up. So if that happens, I'll do that. And then that's dry. So that's a bit easier with this one, just because it comes out in bigger amounts. If your craft gun though comes out faster, then that's fine. You don't have to get a big one, you can just use what you have. And then this, I'm going to first start from like this point, and then go like to the edge so that it gets the corner. There we are. Okay, and then again that's nice and dry quite quickly. So I just wanted to get that corner. Now I'm going to do this side. And then after I do that side, I'll go into fast forward mode so you don't have to watch the whole thing real time. Oh, that was a bit much. And you can see the spatula, it just helps. I mean, if all you have is like, ouch. There we are, see? You have to be careful. I tend to be a bit risky when I'm using hot glue, but be careful when you're doing this. Don't do like me. This is a very much do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Don't have your fingers too close. But yeah, so it's good to have something like this spatula, because if you're using greaseproof paper, the paper's thin enough that it can burn you through the paper, which will hurt, so you don't want that. And so yeah, get something like this. So even if you have an old spatula from like cooking that doesn't that you don't want to use anymore, then you can go do that, or you can just go get a cheap one. This was an old one from the kitchen because the handle kept on coming apart. So I took this one to use for different things. So that's stuck down nicely. But yeah, so this pick up a cheap silicone spatula or spreader, anything that's silicone, because then it also cleans off nice and easy. I guess you can also use like an old gift card or something. So there I got it kind of lumpy just because I got that was a bit messy there, but you wanted it to be a bit smoother, like on this side. I hope you can see that. Okay, then I'll do this corner. And just going small bits so it's easier to control. Okay, so I shall put this into fast forward mode now, and I won't make it too fast so you can still see what I'm doing, and then I will talk to you at the end. While I'm doing that, thought I would let you know that I didn't actually get a chance to iron the edges of the A5 one because I just ran out of time. I had to pack the art supplies into a crate that would go off, and yeah, I just ran out of time because I had to go away that weekend as well. So my plan is that I may just have to just deal with the fact that the edges are thicker. I can cut through it, it just is a little bit more awkward and a little bit more difficult, but that's fine. And it is a warmer country, so maybe if I leave it out in the sun and then try to smooth off the edges, it might be able to work. I don't know, but I'll let you guys know like on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. What I also found as well, this hot glue gun heats up the hot glue a lot hotter than my craft gun, so I think that was the problem. Not that the fact it was small, but it just didn't heat up hot enough to give me enough time to manipulate the glue to be able to smooth down the edges. So I think that's the problem. So just get a nice hot glue gun, or maybe heat it with a heat gun as well to help you along. Yeah, and I just use nice smooth strokes, not short strokes. Smooth strokes work better. So I'm pretty much done with that, just checking it over. I shall talk to you for the rest of the video, and yeah, so let's get back to it. Okay, so now that is all stuck, I went around the edges just to make sure that everything was sealed properly, and it is. Yes, so you can see that this is where the palette knife will go in, and I'll just quickly show you that. Thankfully the glue is kind of yellowed with the heat, so you can see that. So I'll go through and then cut. But before I show you that, I am going to do the cover. So again, I have the pretty paper. This is cut to A5 so that it wraps around. Now it won't wrap around completely just because this is thick, so it'll kind of come short at the bottom, but that's all good. It's just the back. I do want it to cover the front though, so that'll show. I did forget to say that this was just this was an A4 sheet that I used for this, and of course you can see that came up short as well. So I want it to be like this, and I'm going to have the part where I would remove the papers on the inside, so facing the spine of the watercolor block. So first I am going to match it up here. I don't mind if it overlaps the front by just a bit, not too much, just a little bit. Because I mean, this doesn't have to be fancy or anything. It just is to just protect the paper, because once I take off that sacrificial piece of paper, I'll of course the top pages could get smudged by something, which is also why I'm using that ribbon to close it so that it stays closed. And I'm just, you can see, just folding that around the edge so that it keeps the crease of the spine, so that I can just make sure that's nice and strong afterwards. So you can kind of see that's where the creases are, so that's how I'm going to fold it. And doing it this way, then I know I've got the right amount of space without having to measure anything. I'm just going to use the palette knife. You could use a bone folder. I do have a bone folder, it's just not on me at the moment. The palette knife will do. And I'm just going to make sure that when I fold it over, it's right. Yep. Okay. That's about right. So again, I'm going to do that and make sure it's nice and straight. And while I'm away, where I'll be, I won't have any internet, so I won't be able to post frequently on Instagram and Facebook, but whenever I do get internet, when I come off the land, because we're building our own eco home, that's why we'll be away, my family and I'll make sure and post what I paint in my watercolor blocks. I'm really looking forward to using this. I think this is a really good idea, and especially being able to make your own, because the watercolor paper I got from Hobbycraft was £5 for 50 sheets, and of course it's not like the best papers, but I think it'll do. I haven't used it before, so it's all trial and error, but I'll let you guys know how it is, like on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, so that's £5, and then the sacrificial paper and the chipboard was from previous things, so that was fine. I always make sure and keep the chipboard backing from my sketchbooks, watercolor pads and all that whenever I finish them, because they always come in use for something. And then you can just use whatever scrap paper that you don't mind using as a cover. So it's a lot more affordable than buying a watercolor block. Oh, and of course you have the hot glue sticks and anything like ball clips or anything. So yeah, it's a really good project. So now with the ribbon, because it's scrap, it's from when I was like stamping things for my in-full flow bag. I wanted to make a tag for them, so I was just testing this ribbon, but it didn't work out too well. So I'm going to stick this one here so that you can't see it when it's open, though it doesn't matter too much because that's going to be underneath. So, and then I'll also stick that to the cover as well, so that ties up nicely. So I'm just going to cut this in half. Right, so I'll cut this in half and then I can stick this to the cover. And I've just brought in my matches so that I can just quickly seal the ends, because I don't want them fraying on me. That would be good. And while you're doing this, you want to be careful to not singe it too much, because you can light the ribbon on fire, as I just did by accident, but that's all good. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stick this to the back, and then I can stick the back to this. And I'm going to try to get that as central as possible. You'll see how that goes. I don't want to put too much glue on here just because it does tend to smush out. Ouch. There we are. Okay, and be careful with the ribbon because of course you can burn yourself again. That's not central at all, but it's all good. That's fine. Just as long as I line it up with the cover. Okay, so Now that I've gotten that stuck down, I can stick this down again, making sure that the space that doesn't have any hot glue is facing the spine, so that there's less likeliness of any paint getting through there. I put too much hot glue on, so it's come through. That's fine. You won't notice it too much. It's at the back. Okay. So I think what I'll do is I'll do this. I'll line it up like that. Okay. So that's on there now. And I'm just going to put some glue up the side, around the back here, back here. I don't want to come all the way to the edge of this with the glue because the paper ends up short. And then I'm just going to quickly stick that down. Okay. And again, when you're sticking this down, be careful not to burn yourself. Okay. I just almost had a panic and I thought I stuck the paper down upside down, but I didn't. So when the globes are facing the right way. Ooh. Okay, so now to stick this one down. So, and I'll have that lined up with this one. So now that's lined up. So I'm going to put a line of glue here. Again, not coming all the way to the edge, don't want it smushing out. Then just carefully put that down. Again, be careful because that is hot. And there we have it. So that is literally it. It's nice and simple. I really love this. You can use this to make notebooks and stuff as well. Because you can just stick like the top and then you can like remove the paper. So I'll probably do that actually. We may be going into a bit of a dangerous area here. Yes, so that is it. I'll just tie that, show you. And then now stay closed. And it doesn't perfectly close. Like it still shifts a bit, top cover, just a tiny bit. But that's fine. I just wanted it to be able to go over, which is also why I made sure that there was a tiny bit of overlap, because when it ties, it kind of lifts up a little bit, but then it still meets the edge. And that's just to protect the top paper. I shall just untie this real quick and show you again. It's probably going to be simpler for me to, easier for me to remove it because the glue isn't as thick on this one. Where's my palette knife? So again, put that through there. I recommend a palette knife or something with not too much of a sharp edge because you don't want to accidentally slip and like cut your paper, because that would be a shame. So you see, it's so much easier with this one because the glue's not all lumpy and ugh, as on the A5 one. So that came off nice and easy. And again, if you have a bit of glue kind of that got on the top one, you can just scrape that off. But once you've done the top page, you shouldn't have that problem. And of course I'll keep you updated with that. If since this is only the second time me doing this, I've probably done this a little bit messier, but I guess with practice it'll look better, so it's all good. What I will do is I might do a follow-up video once I've come back from my trip. I'll do a follow-up video just like telling you how I found it, and if maybe I think that I might I could have improved on some bits, because when I saw the Frugal Crafter do it, it was a bit neater than this, but I think she had a bit of a practice before. But I'm glad I did do the A5 one as practice, because then I was able to figure out that I just needed to use a different gun to help me out a little bit. Yeah, but it's cheaper. You got to make it yourself, and that way you can then make whatever size you want, which is really nice. So that is pretty much it. If you like the video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Even though I'll be out of the country, no worries. There'll still be a video every Monday because I've been filming like crazy, so that you guys wouldn't miss any videos, because I didn't want that to happen, especially since I knew I wouldn't have that much control when I'm gone. I will link to that newsletter so you can read more about what's going on, and that way you can also find information through there to the Facebook page and everything about the build. It's really exciting. It's all an eco build, and I'm looking forward to updating you guys on that as well. So whenever I get internet, I'll show you guys like how the build is going and everything, because it's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you try this out, please do share. You can tag me on Instagram, share on my Facebook group. You can show me if you've done any cool shapes or anything, because I know the Frugal Crafter did like a circle water block, and yeah, so, and you can show me if you like did any different kind of papers and how you found that. So please do share. I love to see what you guys create. Yeah, so thanks again for watching, and I hope you join me again for another video. Bye!